everyone, welcome to another episode of the Data Standard Audio Experience. Today we have Juan Manuel Contreras, a data science manager of economics and legal policy at Uber. And today we're going to be speaking more about legal data science at Uber. So welcome to the show, Juan. I'm excited to speak with you and learn more about the things you're doing at Uber.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get started. Could you tell us more about your background and what brought you to Uber?
Sure. I studied social psychology and cognitive neuroscience for my doctorate, but then I decided to leave academia afterward and try my hand at more applied work. Data science appealed to me as a challenging discipline that I thought in the right field could meaningfully help people. And I came to Uber because I saw that they created this digital platform that was helping tens of millions of people around the world gain access to new earnings opportunities. And that seemed to be like a great place to have a lot of impact.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And it's interesting to see that your specific work kind of blends the legal side and data science together, because those are two very different fields. So it's interesting to see them mesh together, especially at a tech company. Can you tell us more about what is legal data science and what kind of work does your team do at Uber?
Yeah, so my team serves as in-house data science and economics consultants to our legal organization, which is composed of hundreds of lawyers, paralegals, and other legal professionals. And we help these folks in their work across litigation, regulation, and competition. The kind of work we do includes things like performing analyses and data investigations, designing models of litigation risk and exposure, producing data sets to external parties, and just generally translating very ambiguous legal questions and requests into specific data-driven answers and deliverables.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. It's a lot of stuff that you are doing with your team at Uber right now. And how are data science, economics, and law all essential elements for what you do at your work right now?
So we basically use data science and economics as tools of analysis and tools that we use to implement the work that we do, but we apply them in a legal context. So our work has to be informed by the relevant legal aspects at hand. And no one on the team is a lawyer or was a lawyer before we started here. So we've all had to learn a lot about the law to be able to partner with our lawyers really effectively.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you mentioned that just because for this specific position, it sounds like you need to know a little bit of everything. And so, how do you kind of bridge the gap for certain people on your team if they don't know if they don't know a certain aspect? How are they learning? How are they acquiring this new skill?
A lot of it is just learning on the job. So we'll usually have meetings with lawyers at the start of projects to understand the case at hand, any relevant precedent, what their strategy is, how they're thinking about the kinds of arguments that they want to make, or the role that our work is going to play in their arguments. And from that and repeated experiences doing that, we'll start to pick up on the kinds of ways in which lawyers think and the kinds of arguments they tend to make with their data. We also have the benefit that a lot of our work might play out similarly across different industries, across different countries. So we might have a type of legal case in Belgium that repeats in Australia that then repeats in Chile. And so that gives us some ability to apply thinking in one country or region to another. And that makes it easier to pick up this kind of work too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's good that they're able to learn on the job as well. And what are the easiest and hardest parts of doing this kind of data science work for lawyers, since they're very different fields?
Yes, definitely. So I think the easiest is that, at least in my experience at Uber, lawyers and paralegals are very personable, sociable people. So they make for really excellent partners from this perspective. Maybe the hardest parts probably involve picking up on the legal aspects of the work. Data science, as you know, and as probably your audience knows, is already multiple disciplines in one. So adding legal work to it is non-trivial or can be non-trivial, but it definitely keeps you on your toes and makes it easy to grow and learn a lot in your role.
And how do you see your team's work changing in the future and just advancing over time?
Sure. So our team right now is relatively small. It's just 6 of us. And that has meant that historically that the people on the team have been generalists. So we tend to take cases from across all of the different lawyers and all the different legal teams at Uber. But as you might imagine, there's very different specialized kinds of legal work across the company. And so as our team grows, we might think about specializing the team and having folks dedicated to specific kinds of legal teams as a way of changing the work we do in some ways. But we don't have anything planned at this point in time.
Yeah, and you touched on a topic that is really interesting to me that I've spoken to with a lot of different guests on the podcast, and that's the difference between preferring your team to be more of generalists or more specified to a specific topic. So, what are your thoughts on that? Would you prefer most of your team members to be generalists, or for just some of your team members to be on the law side, some of them to be on the data side, and then them working together? What is best?
That's a great question. And I don't know that it's one that has a definitive answer. I've always been very impressed by the arguments that Eric Colson had made for the Stitch Fix data science team around the importance of having generalist data scientists, as long as you can sustain that model, because it gives you a lot of flexibility to adjust people's work portfolio as the demands of the work change over time. I think this is especially important to have in startups where you're still defining the kind of work that your data scientists are going to do to some extent. In a more larger, more established company like ours, where our specific data science client is very large and very structured in their in the kind of work that they do, and they have the same kind of recurring patterns in the work that they do. I think here it starts to make more sense to specialize. And so that's why we've started to consider this possibility if and as the team grows.
It seems like the consensus is that a generalist is also very good, just because, like you had mentioned, it's very flexible. They're able to communicate very easily with other people on the team and everything that they're trying to work on the team. Definitely. What is it like to be specifically a data scientist at Uber, and especially being a person of color? Have there been any challenges that you've kind of dealt with just being at work at a tech company? What has your experience been like for that?
Yeah, good question. So I've really enjoyed being a data scientist at Uber. Personally, it's been a nice balance between being a data scientist at a larger company and having many of the advantages and features, a great data engineering team to partner with on a lot of work that is harder to find in smaller companies. At the same time, there is sort of a smaller company feel in that, we're a very small team of people doing really highly impactful work and working with our legal team, all the way up to our chief legal officer, which feels like an exciting sort of impactful work you can do that sometimes at larger companies is harder to find. So on the data scientist front, it's been great. As a person of color at Uber, I've been really impressed by the thoughtfulness and resources that Uber has put to building an inclusive culture. When I first thought about applying to Uber, I was a little bit hesitant because of what I'd heard had happened in the past. But I talked to multiple women in the company who had had really positive experiences here. They encouraged me to apply. And then now I'm actually part of Los Ubers, which is the employee resource group for Latinos at Uber. And I've really enjoyed finding this community and now starting to contribute to making it better and bigger over time. So, Uber has a lot of the same challenges that a lot of tech companies have on this in terms of working with and for people of color. But I think that they're doing a really good job at trying to tackle them and make them better day by day.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. And throughout your experiences, either with career or throughout your academics, did you ever have any sense of imposter syndrome throughout the process of just learning everything on the job and being surrounded around people that are like-minded in the same interests as you?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, definitely from the moment that I got to grad school, probably. Yeah, feeling like, like, well, what am I doing around all these brilliant people? At Harvard, how did I get here? Am I gonna get told one day that there was some sort of clerical error that I'm not supposed to be here? I guess something that I realized as I got on in my career is just the sense that, in some ways, most people don't know what they're doing. We're all kind of figuring out as we go along, and that you can talk to the most competent, seemingly experienced people, and they all feel this to some extent. At least I found a lot of the people, if not all, who I've talked about this subject, feel the same way. In many ways, we're all doing the job we're doing for the first time, and so we're all kind of learning and trying to figure it out as we go. And also remembering that there tend to be very tough interviewing and hiring processes that people have to get through to get to where they are. So if you are where you are, you've probably done a lot of really hard work to get there, and you probably deserve being in that particular role. And you'll make mistakes in your role, and sometimes things won't work. But that'd probably be true for anyone who was in that role. And so I think a lot of it is just having some self-compassion for yourself and for where you are, and being hungry for growth, but also recognizing that you deserve to be where you are. But yeah, it's a process and it's a challenge, and I think it's something that I still work on.
Yeah, no, I think that's all great advice that you were able to mention there, definitely. And I wanted to also just kind of stray away from the work that you do at Uber and all of your tech work, and just talk about any hobbies or pastimes that you've been doing just during this remote world now. Were you able to pick up any new pastimes or hobbies or interests?
Yeah, for sure. My partner and I are currently staying in Hawaii, so we've got a chance to do some surfing, some stand-up paddleboarding we're going to do this week. So yeah, just trying to spend some time on the beach in a way that I ordinarily wouldn't have been able to do if I was just working from the Bay Area. So that's been nice.
Yeah, that's super cool. Did you move there now? Are you officially living there and just working remotely from now on?
Just temporarily, just for a little bit.
Okay, that's super exciting. I hear a lot of people moving to Hawaii now just because everything's kind of remote. So why not live
Yeah,
there while you're working remotely? That's awesome. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today, Juan. It was so great to speak with you and just learn more about your journey and your background at Uber. We at the Data Standard, we're trying to build a community of data thought leaders and data enthusiasts so that everybody has a place where they can network and collaborate. So, what is something that we can do for you?
Well, currently my team at Uber is hiring. So for anyone who is interested or anyone who knows someone who may be interested, our job description is up at t.uber.com/legal data scientists. And there's dashes between that. So it's t.uber.com/legal data scientist.
Yeah, perfect. And where can everybody find you online to connect with you?
I am on Twitter and Medium. My handle is Juanma, Juanma PhD. So Juanma PhD, Twitter and Medium.
To our audience, for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as on our LinkedIn and YouTube channel. And thank you so much again, Juan, for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you and to have this opportunity to speak with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for having me. And thank you for all the questions.